boys and girls. I'm glad to see you again this morning. I hope that you guys had a pretty good Valentine's Day last week. Hope that you gave your family, your mom and dad, brothers and sisters, any of them that you have, hope you gave them some nice Valentine's treats. Maybe they gave you some Valentine's treats. And I hope that by the time you're watching this, it's a little warmer than it is right now. When I'm recording this, it is so cold. So I'm really kind of glad to have something that I can do with you inside where it's warm. I've got some pretty good stories and songs. Let's go ahead and get started, should we? Clap your hands if you love stories. Clap your hands, I know you do. I'm so glad that we could be together. Glad to share a story time with you. This story I'm going to tell you is a special kind of story. It's called a string story. And it's a very old kind of story. I've been telling them all over the world. They found records of children in Africa and in Europe, all over the place, telling string stories for hundreds and hundreds of years. I remember doing string stories actually when I was a little girl. Maybe some of your mommies and daddies have done them too. These stories we use we tell them with a piece of string that we've tied into a circle. I made mine red so that if I hold it up against the wall, you can see it. And this story is from several different places. They've told this story, but one of them, they told it in Ghana, which is a country that's in Africa. And it's the story of the yam farmer. There was once upon a time a farmer who had a field of yams. And one day he went out and looked at them. They were ready to be dug up. So the farmer went into his field with his shovel and he dug a whole bunch of yams, put them into a sack, and tied it tight. And he was pretty happy, but he looked and there were still plenty of yams in the ground. He didn't want to leave them, so he went back out into the field, dug up some more yams, put them into a second sack, and tied it tight. But there were still more yams. So what do you think he did next? He went back out into the field, dug up some more yams, put them into a third sack, and pulled them tight. Now he had 1, 2, 3 sacks of yams. But there were still more yams. So he went out into the field a fourth time, dug up the rest of the yams, put them into a sack, and tied them up tight. 1, 2, 3, 4 big sacks of yams. Oh, by this point, the farmer was so tired that he laid down and went to sleep. But while he was sleeping, in the middle of the night, he heard a noise. He sat up and he looked around. He had to go check on his yams. So he went and he counted them. 1, 2, 3, 4. They were all still safe, all still snug and tied up. So then he thought he better check around the back of the farm. So he went down into the back of the farm to look. But while he was looking, along came a thief who wanted the yams. And quick as a wink, he took all the yams. How did that happen? How did that string come off like that? This is kind of an old finger play. I'm not entirely certain how to explain some of it, but, well, there's a lot of nursery rhymes and finger plays that are like that, aren't they? Cows don't really jump over the moon, dishes don't run away with the spoon. This one probably makes sense if you know something about old-timey sewing, but here we go. Just follow along with me, all right? Let's see if we can make some fists. We're going to start by make them go around and around. Wind the bobbin and wind the bobbin and pull, pull, tap, tap, tap. Wind the bobbin and wind the bobbin and pull, pull, tap, tap, tap. Point to the window, point to the door, point to the ceiling, and point to the floor. Clap your hands together. 1, 2, 3. Rub your hands together and tap your knee. Wind the bobbin and wind the bobbin and pull, pull, tap, tap, tap. Wind the bobbin and wind the bobbin and pull, pull, tap, tap, tap. We are now in the month of February. And I know that you guys know that we just had Valentine's Day, but February is special for another reason. This is Black History Month. And so this story I'm going to tell you is actually an African-American folktale. It comes from Virginia, which is a state that's kind of in the middle from the north and the south, and it's over next to the Atlantic Ocean. And it's actually really close to where I grew up. So if I tell the story and my voice starts to sound a little strange, if an accent creeps in, I'm really sorry. Sometimes I can't help it. I grew up in Western Maryland, which is almost West Virginia, and then I went to school in West Virginia, and so sometimes it just creeps out a little bit in my voice. I'm so sorry. Anyway, this story is called, well, it's called a lot of different things. I heard it as Katie and the Witch. See, once upon a time, there was a little girl named Katie, and she lived near where there was a woods, where an old woman lived in a house all by herself. And some folks thought that old woman might be a witch. Well, Katie wasn't afraid of any witch, so she went off into the woods all by herself one day, which wasn't really a very smart thing to do. But when she passed that old woman's house, the old woman opened the door and told her to come on in. So Katie went in, and she was really amazed. There was beautiful pictures on the walls and shiny knickknacks on the shelves, and the old woman said she would give Katie some yummy apples to eat. And so Katie enjoyed her some apples, and then she said she needed to go back home because she was out supposed to be running errands for her mom, and she hadn't done the errands yet. But the old woman said, "No, you're going to be staying here with me. I need someone to do my chores." And Katie thought for a minute, and she said, "But my mama's waiting on me to come pick up some things so that she can have things to eat at home." As the old woman took a magic wand. Katie now knew that woman might just be a witch. And the old woman tapped that wand on the table and said, "There, I've just filled your house back home with all kinds of good things to eat. Your mama will not be hungry anytime soon." And she wasn't lying. Katie's mom was very surprised to see the table suddenly covered with breads and cheeses and meats that came out of nowhere. But Katie said, "All right, I'll help you for a little while." And so she stayed for about a week, helping the old woman draw water and milk cows and all sorts of things. By about the end of that week, she was starting to wonder when she was going to be able to leave. And then one night she had a dream. And in that dream, a little elf appeared to her and said, "Katie, this witch is never going to let you go." And Katie said, "Well, what should I do?" And the elf gave her a comb and a handkerchief and said, "You keep hold of these. And when you're going to escape, you can drop them on the ground and they'll help you." So at night, Katie opened the window of the room where she was sleeping and climbed out and started to run away. But that old woman had sharp ears, and she heard that window open. And so she came running out the door and started chasing after Katie. Well, Katie ran as hard as she could, but the witch was getting closer and closer. So she took the comb and she dropped it on the ground. And just out of nowhere, a whole bunch of new trees just popped up out of the ground. It surprised the witch and slowed her down because she had to figure out how to get around all these brand new trees in the dark. And Katie ran harder and harder. But the witch was bigger than she was and had longer legs, and so she was catching up faster and faster. And so Katie took the handkerchief and she dropped it on the ground. And out of nowhere, a river appeared. A big, wide river with rushing water. And the witch had to figure out her way across the water, and that slowed her down even more. And Katie ran harder and harder, and she was almost to the edge of the witch's woods, and she saw a woodcutter who was chopping down trees with his axe. And when he saw that witch was chasing after Katie, he turned around and yelled and waved his axe. She didn't want to mess with that, and the witch turned around and left, and Katie was safe. Of course, when she went home, her mother was not too pleased with her, and she had to promise that she was never, ever going to go wandering in those woods without anyone with her, and certainly without permission again. This song is called Fiddle-I-Fee. I used to sing this one with my family when I was little. It's kind of like, I guess, Old MacDonald, because we name animals and we talk about the sounds they make, but some of these animals don't make the sounds you're used to them making. But that's okay. It's a silly song. Here we go. I bought me a cat, the cat pleased me, fed my cat under yonder tree. The cat goes fiddle-I-fee. I bought me a hen, the hen pleased me, fed my hen under yonder tree. Hen goes Jimmy Chuck, the cat goes fiddle-I-fee. I bought me a duck, the duck pleased me, fed my duck under yonder tree. The duck goes quack, quack, the hen goes Jimmy Chuck, the cat goes fiddle-I-fee. I bought me a goose, the goose pleased me, fed my goose under yonder tree. The goose goes hissy, hissy, the duck goes quack, quack, hen goes Jimmy Chuck, the cat goes fiddle-I-fee. I bought me a sheep, sheep pleased me, fed my sheep under yonder tree. Sheep goes ba, ba, goose goes hissy, hissy, duck goes quack, quack, hen goes Jimmy Chuck, cat goes fiddle-I-fee. Bought me a cow, cow pleased me, fed my cow under yonder tree. Cow goes moo, moo, the sheep goes ba, ba, the goose goes hissy, hissy, duck goes quack, quack, the hen goes Jimmy Chuck, the cat goes fiddle-I-fee. And you can keep going, adding more animals to that. Well, I'm really glad that you stopped by Pop 5 to see some stories this week. I hope that you enjoyed them. I hope that you got to hear some things that you had not heard before. And I hope that you'll come back again next week. So for now, let's get a big stretch. I want to see you reach for the ceiling. Oh, I think you're taller than last week. And touch the floor. Stand up again. Let's do some more. Touch your head. And now your knees. Up to your shoulders. Like this, you see. Reach for the ceiling. And touch the floor. That's all there is. There isn't any more. Bye-bye.